hustle me. Charles Clinton Spaulding, super salesman and founder of North Carolina Mutual Insurance Company, was asked what it takes to get to the top. The same thing it takes to succeed in any undertaking, he replied, hard work and determination. But the bottom line, coaches and ADs, you gotta hustle. Those who make things happen, they all share this quality, no matter how intelligent or able-bodied you may be. If you don't have a sense of urgency and the need to exploit your potential, we're here for potential and high-impact performance, boys and girls, you're going to fall short of the mark. But what is hustle? Hustle is doing something everyone else is certain cannot be done. Hustle is getting the sale because you got there first or hung on after others gave up. Hustle is burning the midnight oil. It's blood, sweat, and tears. Hustle is missing lunch. Hustle is getting the customer to say yes after he or she said no. Hustle is believing in yourself when no one else will. Hustle is winning and encouraging others to win. Hustle is, listen, hustle is heaven if you're a hustler and hell if you're not. Hustle is the only way in which you're going to reach your goals and objectives. I bring you greetings from my school, Clark Atlanta University School of Business, where I'm a faculty member. For those of you who haven't heard about our grand institution, consolidation of 2 schools, Atlanta University, the oldest black graduate school in the nation, founded in 1865. 4 years later, Clark College, founded in 1869. You come to my office, 318 Wright Hall, and you take about 200 yards to your left, you will find yourself smack dab in the middle of Spelman College, 350 Spelman Lane. I got 3 daughters. One of them is a Spelman alum, and she doesn't let me forget that. You take about 200 yards to your right, and you will find yourself right in the middle of Morehouse College, founded in the basement of a Baptist church in Augusta, Georgia, in 1867. One of my 3 son-in-laws is a Morehouse man. He doesn't let me forget that. But I can say with all pride, sincerity, and humility, down our halls walk some of the sharpest students in the country. Everybody on that campus knows my classroom. Why? Because I got a sign on my door, and that sign reads, if you don't want to work hard, you don't belong here. And if you don't want to lead, under no circumstances go through my door. If you got the guts, if you got the boldness, if you got the courage, if you got the audacity, if you got the temerity, actually walk in my classroom. You come to my classroom, you take 5 steps, and you turn to the right. And there's another sign on that wall. And that sign reads, mediocrity is not the standard in this class. Now you can be mediocre someplace else, but damn it, you can't be mediocre here. Now who in the world taught me that? There I am with Rachel Robinson, the widow of Jackie Robinson. Boys and girls, I interviewed them all. I was going around this country writing a book, before I was thinking Grow Rich or Black Choice, my first book was What Makes the Great Great. And I interviewed scores, countless interviews, high-impact, peak-performing African Americans. And I'm going to focus on any demographic, and that information is for anybody. You name them, I interview. I dare you ask that question, what makes the great great? I interviewed Janetta Cole, past president of Spelman College. I said, Dr. Cole, please give me the answer. She said, show me somebody content with mediocrity, and I'll show you somebody destined to fail. I even asked Jesse Jackson, I said, Jesse, please give me the keys to greatness and success. He said, you may not be responsible for getting knocked down, but you're certainly responsible for getting back up. I interviewed Bob Johnson, founder of BET, Charlotte Bobcats, owner of the Bobcats. He said, life is a grindstone. Whether it grinds you down or polishes you up depends on what you were made of. There I am with Ben Carson, arguably the greatest neurosurgeon in this country. And we don't have time to go into the Ben Carson story. But some of you think you know the Ben Carson story where he separated the Siamese twins connected at the base of the brain. Boys and girls, that's not the Ben Carson story because I interviewed this man twice. You see, what you don't know is that Ben Carson just came out of surgery. He had been in there for 4 hours. He performed a delicate procedure. And what you don't know is that one of his attending nurses met him halfway into the waiting area. And she says, Dr. Carson, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't interrupt you. I know you gotta be bone tired, that was a delicate procedure. But there's a couple in your office, and they're from Germany. And they're looking for anybody that I can guide, direct, consult. They want a certain procedure performed. He said, don't worry about me, give me a bottle of water, I'll be okay. Please continue. And she said, well, Dr. Carson, to be more specific, they're the parents of twins. As a matter of fact, they're the parents of Siamese twins, and their girls are connected at the base of the brain, and all they want their daughters to lead a normal life. Ben Carson says, well, where are the girls? Where are the twins? She says, they're in your office also. He said, you got the CAT scans, you got the MRIs, you got the x-rays. She said, yeah, I got them right here. He says, can I see him? He takes them, throws it up on the screen, takes one look at him, and begins to re-scrub and tells that nurse, go ahead, get the girls ready. We'll do that right now. You hear what the man said? He said, go ahead, get them ready. We'll do this right now. That procedure took 22 hours. Some of us can't even sleep for 22 hours, let alone perform brain surgery for 22 hours. He led a medical team of 70 specialists. Even his colleagues at Johns Hopkins didn't believe in Carson. They said, Carson, you better leave those girls alone. You're going to kill one, and the other one won't have a life worth living. Halfway through the procedure, Carson goes out in the operating room, and he goes back to his office. And what does he find? He finds the mother of those two girls in his office on her knees crying. And he approaches her and says, dear sweetheart, what in the world is wrong? And she said, Dr. Carson, I gotta decide which of my two girls I'm allowed to live. Ben Carson goes over there, holds that woman's hand and says, baby girl, both of them are gonna live, now let us pray. I said, Dr. Carson, please give me the answer to the greatest high-level peak performance. He said, think big, think bold, think stretch, think global, think quantum leap. The doggone it, think. And there I am with Rachel Robinson, and I said, Miss Robinson, I said, what was it like being married to the man who broke the color barrier in baseball? She said, Jack only lived by one rule. I said, what is that? Excellence is the norm, not the exception. You hear what I said? Excellence is the norm, not the exception. And I'm going to tell you what Lou Holtz told me when he brought me in to speak to that team. Excellence is the norm, not the exception. And baby girl, don't get it twisted. Don't you dare get it twisted. I mean, Branch Rickey, he only met Jackie Robinson one time before he signed that man's name to that contract. When they made history, April 15th, 1947, and the betting odds, Jackie Robinson wasn't going to be the first one to break the color barrier. Everybody knew it was going to be Satchel Paige. If it wasn't Satchel Paige, it was going to be Josh Gibson. If it wasn't Josh Gibson, it was going to be, Jimmy Radcliffe, Ted Double Duty Dixon. Jackie Robinson, listen, baseball wasn't his best sport. He was better in basketball and football than he was in baseball. What if Jackie Robinson had that the others didn't have? Get character. And when Branch Rickey met him, they only met 2 times. And the first time he met Jackie Robinson, he didn't care anything about Jackie Robinson's batting average. He could care less how fast Jackie Robinson could run from home plate to first base. He wasn't even concerned how well Jackie could turn the double play. The only thing he wanted to know about Jackie Robinson, Jackie got a girlfriend? Jackie said, yes. He said, good, get married. Baby, we're talking Karen. He said, excuse me, Mr. Rickey? He said, yeah, get married. Jackie said, why is that important? He said, because what you're about to experience this year, you won't be able to survive on your own. There he tells him, April 15th, 1947, in their little apartment in Brooklyn, New York. Jackie Robinson, before he leaves to go to the stadium, to go ahead and get his mind and his heart and his spirit, his body together for history, he tells Rachel, what's the last thing he told Rachel as he walked out that door? He said, Rachel, don't come to the game today. Rachel said, excuse me, Jackie? No, please, don't come to the game today. She said, Jackie, I'll always go to your games. I'm going to be there to support. Rachel, please don't come. I mean, we don't know who's going to be in the crowd. There might be some crazy, somebody might have a gun, whatever. Rachel, please don't come. Jackie, I've always been there to see you play. Nothing's going to change. I'm going to that game today. What did Jackie tell Rachel? So, well, if you insist on going, when you get to the stadium today, if you're looking for me, I'll be wearing number 42. If you're looking for me, I'll be wearing number 42. See, I found 4 common chords in all these peak performers, high-impact peak performers. Number 1, they dreamed big dreams. They had a dream. They had a passion, something they desperately wanted to accomplish in life. Number 2, they were inner-directed versus outer-directed. In other words, they weren't so quick to believe well-meaning friends and family members who said, you can't do this, you can't do that. Lou Holtz brought me in to speak to his team. And I was there with Coach Holtz, and who was on his staff when he brought me in to speak to his team? One of his defensive coaches was Charlie Strong, head football coach now in Texas. Who else was on that? You know, one of his assistant coaches, Barry Alvarez, went on to go ahead and claim the fame in Wisconsin. Urban Meyer was an assistant coach on that team. And Lou Holtz, when he took that job in 1987, he became the head football coach at Notre Dame. What was the first goal that he set? He said in 1988, I got to be a national champion. Got to be a national champion. No one believed that Holtz could do it. And Holtz put his players to the test. We don't have time to go into the Lou Holtz story, but he said, you got to have goals and dreams, or life isn't very exciting. And I said, Coach, please give me the keys to success and greatness. And he went back. He said, vision and excellence. I said, please explain, Coach. He said, don't be average. What is average? Average is best and worst, top of the bottom, bottom of the top. Society remembers the achiever. Society remembers the man or woman fell short of the mark, but nobody remembers the individual who is average. On that team was a young freshman by the name of Rocket Ragib Ishmael, and they played some folks said it was the game of the century. They beat Miami. Miami was ranked number 1. Notre Dame was ranked number 4 that year in the polls. And that Friday night before that big game at Notre Dame Stadium, Rocket Ragib Ishmael, a freshman on that team, approached his coach. Now we're talking about excellence. He said, Coach, tomorrow I want you to buckle up because I'm returning a punt. I'm going coast to coast tomorrow for Notre Dame. Number 3, lifelong learners. What do we mean by that, gentlemen and ladies? Readers are leaders. Readers are leaders. I got a sign in my classroom that reads, if you don't read, if you don't study, if you don't grow, if you don't develop, if you don't take in the information, if you don't go to the seminars, if you don't go to the conferences, somebody else will. And the day that you meet that other person, you lose. You lose. There I am, minding. I gotta see if he's here. Let me go. Booyah! Here I am at Clark Atlanta, minding my business, and the phone rings. And who is it? Coach Jim Tressel, Ohio State Buckeyes. And I pick up the phone. He says, is this Dr. Kimbrough? Yes. Is this Dennis Kimbrough? Yes. Is this the individual who wrote What Makes the Great Great? I said, yes, yes, yes. He said, how you doing? I said, this is Coach Jim Tressel, Ohio State Buckeyes. I said, Coach, how you doing, my brother? What's going on? He said, well, we're using your book, What Makes the Great Great, to set up the season. Please tell me that you're going to come up to Columbus and spend 2 days with my Buckeyes. I said, Coach, I'll hop on the next plane. But before I do, you know what I do for a living? You got to tell me something that I can tell my business students. He said, no problem. He said, you tell your students the following. He says, I don't care how good you are. I don't care how bad you are. The only question is I want to know how great you want to be. Anybody can be average. But it takes courage to excel. Number 4, they flat out refused to fail. Now, I'm not saying they didn't fail. Many of them actually failed their way to success and greatness. Gotta have goals and dreams or life isn't very exciting. Number 2, as I said, excellence. I know Tiger has fallen short of the mark. Years ago, I'm catching a flight to go out to the West Coast, Delta Airlines first class. And I'm on that plane getting ready for this 4-hour and 13-minute flight. The seat right next to me is vacant. Right before we're about to take off, the pilot barks out, the pilot and flight attendant barks out the final orders. Flight attendants prepare for departure and cross-check. And when he says that, guess who came out of the restroom, took a seat right next to me for 4 hours and 13 minutes, coaches? Earl Woods, Tiger Woods' father. And he didn't want to be disturbed. He was reading the Wall Street Journal. I was going to honor that. But when we got up to 33,000 feet, I do what I do best. I interviewed this man. 1998, Tiger Woods won the Masters. The following year, he did not repeat as Masters champion. And I said to Mr. Woods, I said to Earl Woods, I said, is your son upset that he did not repeat as Masters champion? He said, no, as he's reading his Wall Street Journal. Tiger is glad the whole ordeal is over with. He's pretty exhausted. I said, what do you mean pretty exhausted? He said, well, very few people realize my son's practice schedule. I said, what is your son's practice schedule? He says, well, Tiger is a creature of habit. He has the same training schedule. Said, number one, he runs 5 to 6, times a week, 5 to 6 miles a time. That's how he tore up his ACL. I said, he runs 5 to 6 times a week? He said, yeah. I said, anything else? He said, yeah. He said, 3 times a week, Tiger's going to go to the gym and lift weights. I mean, you can take a look at him, compare him to the other golfers on the tour. Tiger got a little diesel under that shirt. He got a little buff to him. I said, is that all? He said, no. Last but not least, every day he's going to go to the country club and hit 1,000 golf balls. And I said, excuse me, 1,000 golf balls? I said, how long does it take him to do that? He said, between 5 to 6 hours. I said, Mr. Woods, he does that every day? And at that point, Earl Woods puts a Wall Street Journal in his lap and says to me, read my lips every day. Every day. Now, why do I share that case study with you? Because success is a statistical event. Success is a statistical event. What Pat Riley says, there's a big difference between an excellent game and game excellence. That's what Pat Riley told the founders of Google. Google wouldn't be Google until they met Pat Riley. That's right, they met Pat Riley, Miami Heat, told them about game excellence in an excellent game. And there is a difference. See, anybody can have an excellent game. Feed him the ball, he can't miss. He's unconscious, he's in his zone. Hey, this is her day, go ahead, get out of her way. Anybody can have an excellent game. But what is game excellence? You practice the rudiments, and you practice the skill set day in and day out. What did Lou Holtz tell me back then in what, in 88 when I was with his team? He says, man, there's only one thing better than winning. I said, what's that, coach? He said, preparing to win. Preparing to win. See, anybody can win. You can be in the right place at the right time. Like I said, today is your day. Hey, you can be, hey, whatever. Anybody can win. But preparing to win is better than winning. Suppose it isn't your day. And suppose the competition comes to you with a vengeance. And suppose today you can't hit the side of a barn. But you have prepared to win. Moving right along. And then last but not least, number one, you gotta have a vision. Number two, excellence. Number three, character. Take a good look at him, sports fans. That's Eddie Robinson, Grambling football Tigers. I got a chance before he made his transition to spend some quality time. He was on the list that I interviewed. And I remember when I was in New Orleans, on one side of me I had Doug Williams, who at the time was the head football coach at Grambling. And on the other side, I had Coach Eddie Robinson. And I said to Doug Williams, I said, Coach, you played, 3 years for Coach Robinson. What did he teach you about life and success? He said, I probably learned more about life and success from Coach Rob than any class I took in Grambling. I said, well, give me an anecdote, give me a story. He said, well, Coach Rob only had 2 rules that he lived by. I said, what are the rules? He said, well, practice began every day at 3:45 prompt. I said, okay. I said, what was rule number 2? If anybody was more than 2 minutes late to practice, you had to run stadium steps. I said, well, that's not a biggie. I played ball. I mean, everybody had to do that. He said, but one day Coach Rob was more than 2 minutes late to practice. And instead of holding practice that day, he got the entire team, he got the coaches, he got the assistants, and in a sweltering Louisiana heat, they watched at that time this 57-year-old man run stadium steps. Then I turned to Coach Eddie Robinson, and you listen to me, coaches. I said, Coach, what number is nearest and dearest to your heart? Is it the 408 victories you won when you were at Grambling? How about the 9 black college championships you won while you were head coach at Grambling? What about the 204 athletes that you sent to the NFL? What about the 4 athletes that you coach at Grambling who are in the NFL Hall of Fame right now? What about the 81% graduation rate that you attained when you were coach at Grambling? Coach, what number is nearest and dearest to your heart? He looked at me, waved me off, and he said, Doc, none of those. He said, the number that is nearest, dearest to my heart is one wife, 53 years. Vision, excellence, character. Years ago, you know this case study, Duke School of Business brought me in to speak to the MBA students. It was about the same time as lacrosse, you know, with all that nonsense that went on at Duke, you know, with the lacrosse team, that indiscretion, quote unquote, brought in some strippers, all that nonsense. Well, if you followed it or not, you know that the entire Duke University campus took a hit to their brand, took a hit to their image. And before all the information is in, and I gave my little talk there at the Duke School of Business, and when they shared this story with me, it blew me away. You're looking at Coach K, and Coach K took it upon himself during that time to restore the image, to restore the brand. And you are the brand. You are the role model to your athletes. What thou seest, that thou beest. And what do we know about a personal brand? Your brand revolves around 5 different energies. Number 1, your appearance. Number 2, your name. Number 3, your image. Number 4, your voice. And number 5, the content of what you have to say. Again, going back to my time when I was at Notre Dame, I said, Coach, what's the first thing you do when you get a new student athlete? He said, the first thing? And when Lou Holtz was at Notre Dame, he didn't recruit, he weeded out. Everybody wanted to play ball there at that time. Everybody wanted to wear that gold helmet. I said, what's the first thing you do? He had all the 5-star, all the bluest of the blue chip athletes. I said, what's the first thing you do? He said, the first thing that we do when we get a new student athlete, we give him a pair of gray slacks, white shirt, club tie, and a blue blazer. And we have that boy stand at attention. I said, why in the world do you do that? He said, that's the way we want our athletes to appear when we're going to the airport, because you never know who's looking at Notre Dame. And you never know who's looking at you. And that's what Coach K did. So in 2006, when the Duke University brand was taken in, what did Coach K do? He went to every faculty member. He went to every administrator at Duke. If you were working there, every employee at Duke, and he goes into his or her office. And in one hand, he has a copy of the mission statement. And in the other hand, he has a copy of the values. And he says, this is Duke University, this is our mission statement, these are our values, this is what we live by, and if you can't adhere to these values, to this mission statement, to our goals and objectives, this is probably not a good fit. You may want to work someplace else. I said, what did the president, what did the board of trustees have to say? They said they couldn't say nothing. Because Coach K said you need to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium and you need to go ahead and look on that basketball floor and see whose name was on that court. Get a vision. Commit yourself to excellence. Don't be average. Hold on to your character. Don't you ever lower your standards. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you expect. You keep your standards high. Number 4, get rid of all the complainers. Get rid of all the naysayers, the non-believers, the underachievers. Get rid of all the toxic people. I didn't say not love them. I'm saying, damn it, get them out of the room. They ain't got time for you anymore. You're moving too fast. Give me some dap, give me a hug. Hey, call me, hit me on the hip, email me, but you gotta go, and I don't know where you're going, but you're getting the hell out of here. Number 5, get around the best. Read the best books. Get Get your best sponsors, get the best members. Go to the best conferences, go to the best seminars, associate yourself with the best. Make sure you're not the sharpest individual in your group. Make sure you can look up instead of looking down. And then last but not least, as we close this out, Brother Carlos, you better believe in yourself when no one else will. I haven't said nothing. You better believe in yourself when no one else will. Years ago, I had a presentation, Sony Columbia Records. These are executive vice presidents for Sony Columbia Records. And every year they got their strategic planning session. And if you don't have EVP at the end of your name, either in LA or New York, you don't go to the annual strategic planning session that they always hold at a swanky resort. And this year it was in South Florida. And they called me up and said, Doc, come in here and tell us the same thing you tell your MBA students, 2-hour presentation. There I am, giving my presentation, Executive Vice Presidents, Sony Columbia Records. And after I give my presentation, I'm breaking bread with them. And I said to one of the vice presidents, I said, man, you guys got some top talent. You got Lauryn Hill, Fugees. At the time, you had Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. And I said, what about that young, hot group, Destiny's Child, particularly the lead singer, Beyonce? And they said to me, yeah, we got some top talent. You know, Whitney Houston's doing her thing, Mariah Carey, man, no one's going to stop her. Lauryn Hill, the Fugees, yeah, and we are very excited about Destiny's Child, particularly Beyonce Knowles. But they said, you should have seen Beyonce Knowles when she landed on our doorstep. I said, what do you mean? 13 years old in the 8th grade. That's the first time we heard about Beyonce Knowles, and she was about to throw her dream away. I said, you gotta be kidding me. He said, no. Age 13, in the 8th grade, Beyonce Knowles went to her father and said, I'm sick and tired of these singing lessons. I'm tired of these dancing lessons. At the church on Sunday, you dropping me off at the mall. I can't even walk down the corridor in my school. Everybody, all the students talking about me behind my back. They're laughing at me, telling me I can't sing. My little group is whack. Forget it. I just want to fit in. I want to be like everybody else. I just want to be like an average student. I said, well, obviously something changed. And what in the world changed? And they told me that the R&B group in Vogue came to Houston. Enamored. She just wanted to be like the 4 ladies from In Vogue. And after In Vogue gives the performance, Beyonce went backstage to meet her 4 heroes. And it was during backstage that she met them, that In Vogue told her one thing and one thing only, and I said, what is that? Believe. Believe. Now you fast forward the videotape more than a decade. And Beyonce knows at the height of her profession, she's coming to Houston to give a performance of her life. And there's a young father who wants to surprise his 12-year-old daughter. It's her birthday with tickets to the Beyonce concert. And he goes online and he goes to Ticketmaster and he gives his 12-year-old daughter front row seats to see Beyonce. And Beyonce Knowles gave a 2-hour performance that was memorable. Then after the performance, that father and that 12-year-old girl, instead of walking out the front door of that venue, they take a side door to take a shortcut. They go out a back alley. And when they take that shortcut and go out of the back alley, guess who comes walking out behind them, waiting to be driven away in a chauffeur-driven limousine? Beyonce Knowles. And that young girl sees Beyonce Knowles, instinctively breaks her father's hand, weaves in and out Beyonce security, runs up to Beyonce and hugs her, and Beyonce startled. And that 12-year-old child says, Beyonce, I can't believe I'm meeting you. I can't believe I'm touching you. You know, if you came to my bedroom in my Houston home, you can't even tell the paint on the walls because I got all your posters. I know all your dance steps. I know the lyrics to every song that you ever made. Beyonce, when I'm in the bathtub, when I'm in the shower, I grab the comb, I grab the brush. I act like I'm you singing into the microphone. Beyonce, tell me how I can be as great as you. What did Beyonce knows tell that 12-year-old girl? What did Beyonce knows tell that 12-year-old girl, coaches? Not only told the believer, said, baby girl, do whatever you do so well, people can't ignore you. Do whatever you do so well, no one can take their eyes off of you. So you want high-level peak performance? You want to be the best? You're a coach, that means you got to empower others. And there's only two things in the world you got to do to personally empower. Number one, when given a task or assignment, complete it to the best of your ability. And number two, after you complete it to the best of your ability, always go the extra mile. Somebody said it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried he did it, he started to sing as he tackled with him. That couldn't be done, and he did. Somebody scoffed, oh, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it. But he took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we know, he begun it. With a lift up his chin and a bit of a grin without any doubting or quitting. He started to sing as he tackled the thing. That couldn't be done, and he did. There are thousands that tell you cannot be done. There are thousands of prophecy failure. There are thousands ready to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait till assail you. But with a lift of your chin and a bit of your grin, you just take off your coat and go to it. You started to sing as you tackled the thing. Every day before I leave my office to go to class, there's an image by my light switch. You come to my office, 318 Right Hall in the School of Business. You walk out of my office, and what's the last image these eyeballs see every Tuesday and Thursday before I go into the classroom? It's a picture of W.B. Du Bois, African-American, Black America's most prolific scholar. W.B. Du Bois taught at Atlanta University. I'm honored to teach at the same school where this man walked that same path, walked the campus. And under that image are the following words: DK, before you stand before your students today, never forget that a poor teacher complains, a good teacher explains, an excellent teacher demonstrates, but a great teacher inspires. Brother Carlos, you could have selected anybody. Thanks for selecting me. Come up here and get this mic.
Couple of things. Come forward, please, sir. Got a plaque for you.
Look at the plaque, my brother.
Turn around, brother.
Okay.
All right.
I have my shoes to shine.
Dr. Dennis B. Kimbrough, featured speaker, and a sincere appreciation for your commitment and support of the 14th Annual Coaches Convocation of Richland County School District 1, given this day. We appreciate your support.
This day?
This day.
God bless you.
You one of us?
I should have worn my shorts.
No. You had those on last night when I picked you up there. But this is your shirt, just like this one. All right?
Wow, thank you.
It has your name on it.
You got my name on it.
That's right. And this is for your sister.
Yeah. Okay.
All right? If it doesn't fit, you just call Vivian and we'll get it right, okay? God bless you. Okay? All right. Now, this is important. We're almost done. Thank you, Dr. Kimbrough. Again, I hope